You are Locked On Dodgers Postcast. Part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, I forgot to get a hat. Welcome into the Locked On Dodgers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. I am Pete Fox, your hatless host today. How's my hair? It's not bad. Played golf today for my birthday and had a hat on all day, so I just kind of didn't want one tonight, although I didn't necessarily get my hair done. Dodgers lose a tough one tonight, 5-4. Not much about that felt good. It's tough for a variety of reasons. Walker Buehler looked pretty bad, and the Padres won, as did the freaking Diamondbacks. So for those of you not keeping track, that means the Dodgers' lead in the West is now a whopping 2.5 games. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, I'm Pete Fox, host of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. I've been covering sports in LA for both ESPN Radio and NBC Sports Radio dating back to 2007. Tonight, the Dodgers got off to a 3-0 lead, and then Walker Buehler started to leak oil and let the Brewers right back in the game pretty quickly. And the fact that it didn't happen in the first inning was really kind of a miracle for a couple of reasons. That play for Kevin Kiermeyer in center field was fantastic. And quite honestly, as much as I dislike the rule states that if you block the plate in any way, shape, or form, the runner should be safe. So I think the umpire blew that call, even though it went in favor of the Dodgers. Austin Barnes was all over home plate. I don't know how they got away with it. I'm glad they did, because Buehler got out of that inning. No harm done after walking the first 3 guys, but just really was a mess all over the place. Couldn't find the strike zone. All of the sort of check marks that they were looking for from him as far as, needs, things that he needs to accomplish in order to be successful, I didn't see a whole lot of them. The two main things that they were looking for from him was needing to land the curveball. Curveball very inconsistent. And he did strike out a couple of guys on the curveball. What did he have total? 3 Ks. I know at least a couple of them came on the curveball. But then also they wanted strikes on right-handed hitters down and away, and he wasn't getting that either. He was just kind of inconsistent, trying to find his rhythm. And I feel like, isn't that what we saw from him when he went on the IL? Because he, said he was hurt, but, was also trying to break the inconsistency and change of scenery. It was more of a mental break, but then they came back and told us, oh, he is injured. And he was all offended that people thought he wasn't injured because he did have a hip problem. I don't know what's going on. But the fact is that he just didn't look good. And it feels like they're obligated to throw him out there and let him pitch and just try to work through it. They've even mentioned multiple times that you can't work through it in AAA. Oklahoma City is not good enough. And his last outing was pretty dominant. 5 innings, like 1 run on 2 or 3 hits, struck out 6. He looked really good. And here he is now all over the place. Can't hit one down the fairway. That was me today. I hit like the first 3 holes, like fairway. And then all of a sudden, well, it wasn't quite that good. But I did lead off with a par. And then the second hole was this narrow canyon of a par 5. It wasn't terribly long. And my 2 buddies have played there before, and they were like, this hole's really hard. Don't hit it left or right. So what, of course, did I do? I hit the first one right. And then I hit the second one left. And then the second one left went out of bounds. The third one went right down the middle of the fairway. Turns out the first one was in play and I was okay, but I ended up making triple anyway, which was ugly. So the fact is that's kind of, then I got a couple of pars and then a double and then a par and then another triple. And that was Walker Buehler's day, strike, ball, bad pitch, base hit. It was just all over the place. I mean, he couldn't find a rhythm. The pitch that Turang hit for a triple was a hanging curveball that just didn't do anything. He struggled to finish guys off with 2 strikes. They were getting base hits, working back into the count. So there just wasn't a lot to feel good about with regard to Walker Buehler's outing today. So the fact that he got out of that first inning was kind of a miracle. Then the second inning was a disaster. He gave up 3 runs there, and then somehow managed to get out of the third. Was a good inning. That was his best frame, 14 pitches after, like 50 plus in the first 2 innings. So I really look at where he is right now, and I kind of go, I don't know if he's our guy. I don't know if he is ready for the starting rotation. I feel like they'll give him a few more outings, but he better come out. I know you guys were saying yesterday, Craig mentioned this, I believe, that this is his last opportunity. I don't know if you meant today, but, potentially if he doesn't find a rhythm and come out and start to dominate a little bit of dominance, I think they have to be done with him, because, even Kershaw's better than that. When Kershaw returned, his first outing was pretty good. Granted, it was at Dodger Stadium. The second outing was garbage. And then the third outing got a win, or was it the fourth? I can't remember. His last outing was really good. So after it came backed up on a really, really tough outing when we were kind of thinking, well, what's up with Kershaw? Does he still have it? Lots of question marks hanging over his head. So he's found it. Hopefully he's found a rhythm. He's gotten a little bit of game time strength, and he doesn't need the experience. It's just the strength of playing games, throwing the ball a little bit harder, having a little bit better command, being more comfortable in a game atmosphere. Again, he is a veteran and very experienced on the mound. So that kind of stuff you don't really worry about too much with Kershaw. You just kind of worry about the physical aspects of things, being an older dude and not having the velocity that he once had. Now, Buehler still has some of that velocity, but I think it was topping out at 93, 94. I don't know that that's going to get it done when you can't find the strike zone, when your command is out of control and you can't strike people out or get ground balls, or the whole thing was just not good. I felt like he was clinging to life, grasping at straws to find any sort of rhythm. And the first opportunity they had to yank him, they did. As far as ground balls versus fly balls, Buehler had 5 ground balls versus 3 fly balls. First pitch strikes for Buehler was 7 first pitch strikes versus 18 batters faced. It's not good. That means he's working from behind the whole time. So, let's hope next time out is better. If they give him a next time out, I imagine they will. Maybe it's a situation where you feel like they owe it to him. They're going to give him the opportunity at least to try and find it. I don't know how many more of those opportunities he gets, but if it's like today, I'm going to say not very many, especially when the Padres and Diamondbacks are hot on your heels. Now, all that being said, Jeff from Locked On Dodgers made a very good point yesterday. At some point, the Padres and the Diamondbacks are going to start to play some better competition. The Padres are playing the Rockies right now, who we know are not good. And the Diamondbacks competition is also nothing. The Diamondbacks are playing the Rockies. The Padres are playing Pittsburgh, who the Dodgers just beat up. And they're not as bad as the Rockies, but they're definitely not a good team. They're kind of a punching bag, if you will. So when the Padres and the Diamondbacks face some real competition, teams over 500, it's going to turn around for them. Dodgers have found a little bit of a rhythm tonight. Didn't go the way that they had hoped. Wasn't exactly what they were looking for. Would have been nice to win this series tonight. Would have been nice to have a little bit more of a little bit more contention down the stretch of this game. I think that was a big problem too. And it has been an issue for the Dodgers of late. I've complained about it in the past, and I'll tell you what that is, what that problem is after the break, because Rick Monday, who, by the way, I love. Absolutely love Rick Monday, normally on the radio broadcast, but I guess Oral Hershiser wasn't feeling well, so they brought Mo over from the radio broadcast, and he is a salty old cuss for sure, but so much knowledge, such smooth delivery, and you know, every once in a while kind of says something that is, I don't know if you would say inappropriate. It's not necessarily that it's offensive, but he calls it like it is. And that's what I love about Rick Monday. So enjoyed listening to him on the broadcast tonight, but he pointed out a stat that I've complained about in the past with the Dodgers, that it's happening again. And we'll get into that right after the break. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers Postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. You can also listen to us wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast is brought to you by Liquid IV. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Blast off with their iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find all your favorite flavors on their website, from acai berry and lemon lime to pina colada. Powered by Live Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, all non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration from Liquid IV. You can get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Tonight's show also brought to you by Prize Picks. It is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. The easiest, the most exciting way to play DFS is just you against the numbers. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 players and their stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I got to get back in the game. I haven't put a prize pick out in a while. And you know me, I'm a big fan of those green goblins because the odds are a little bit better. They don't quite pay as much, but nonetheless, makes it a little easier to win, and I just enjoy winning. Call me crazy. But if you want to go down that other road and get a bigger payout, I have friends that like to put these really long shot picks together, because when you hit one, it pays pretty well. For example, if you hit 4 demons on a $10 bet, you can win up to $1,000. So that's huge. They also have promotions like lowering the stat projections on Tuesday and getting your entry fee back if you lose on Friday. Quick deposits and easy withdrawals. My initial deposit was super painless and hassle-free. Prize Picks is also available in more than 30 states like Georgia, California, and Texas. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Pick more, pick less. Prize Picks, it is that easy. So the Dodgers fall 5-1 in this one, 5-4 rather, and snaps their 5-game winning streak. Padres and Diamondbacks both win, so that means they're now 2.5 back of the Dodgers in the West. And the stat that really is troubling to the Dodgers of late is their lack of production after the 5th inning. Through this little streak, they've been red hot to start games and then completely fall apart after the 5th inning. This is something that we saw earlier in the season, and I complained about it because I feel like it's going to be a problem. Yes, scoring early in the game is good. Starting off hot, getting off to a good start on the right foot is important and meaningful. But if you cannot keep the other team from scoring, which is really challenging, obviously, other teams have the ability to score. So it puts a lot of pressure on the pitching staff is what it boils down to. You come out 3-4 runs in the first 3 or 4 innings. Tonight it was 3 in the first, 1 in the 7th, and that's it. It makes the pitching staff have to be nearly perfect, and that's tough to do. So to be able to, put up the proverbial picket fence is considerably more beneficial and ideal. And, the Dodgers for example, after the 8th inning, when trailing, they're now 3-41. They don't have a comeback bone in their body after the 8th inning. That's terrible. When you get to playoff time, you got to be able to rally to get back in the game. These guys just kind of curl up in a shell and go away. Like, all right, we'll down. We'll get the next one. So I really, I don't know how you fix that. I'm sure they're aware of it, because those numbers are really, really bad. But this ability to rally and have some fight and come back is not something that they have right now. So they desperately need to find that. I mean, tonight in the 9th inning, it was good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And it was not difficult. That Williams guy got the Dodgers in the 9th on 7 pitches. They did not work the count. They did not try to get on base. I mean, they tried, but they were very, very unsuccessful. They did not make that guy work. A very easy night for him. But a lot of opportunities for the Dodgers kind of went by the wayside. Fortunately, thanks to Miggy Rojas, Teo Hernandez's strikeout in the 7th with 1 out and a runner on 3rd, looking was awful. I mean, that just can't happen when you're Teoscar Hernandez. What are you doing at that point? Swing the bat. All you got to do is put the ball in play. More than likely, it's going to score that run with 1 out, unless you hit it to the third baseman or the shortstop. And he's watching a 3rd strike. I'm just like, come on, that's just not good enough. I know he's a guy that strikes out a lot, but get the bat off your shoulder and put the ball in play. Hit a fly ball. I know it's easier said than done. It's harder to just produce a fly ball, but watching strike 3 can't happen. And then, fortunately, Miggy Rojas came up and knocked in that run to tie the game. But then right back out there, the 7th inning, Evan Phillips, who needs an Evan Williams, comes in and who gave up that run? Yeah, Evan Phillips gave up the run, but it was charged to Honeywell. It wasn't a terrible pitch. I think Evan Phillips is pitching better, but I don't know that he's super reliable. And I don't put this whole game, I don't put necessarily on the bullpen. I think they came in and did a pretty decent job. I mean, we were fighting behind all night again after Walker Buehler's night on the mound. And, Montas really he deserves a lot of credit, because he started off pretty shaky, again, giving up those 3 in the first, and then kind of settled in and went 5. Only walked 3, which is a little bit high, but struck out 6. So, the Dodgers probably could have tacked on a few, just couldn't get any real rhythm going, any momentum. Runners in scoring position, they were identical tonight, both 3 for 10. So it wasn't awful, but the Dodgers left 8 guys on base. So just not a ton of fight tonight. I don't think it was a lackluster, lazy sort of thing. I didn't get that feeling. I felt like they were out there grinding, trying to get things done. But it just, the energy at times lacked. Let's do the Diamond Dogs list, top 5 offensive plays of the night, and an honorable mention to Kevin Kiermeyer with that play in center field. That was fantastic. And every time I criticize the Dodgers for acquiring Kevin Kiermeyer, he goes out and does something pretty remarkable, or at least positive, like a couple of hits tonight, and then throwing that guy out from center field, although it was a bad call by the umpire. Still a fantastic play. And Austin Barnes' play at the plate was good. I'm glad he got away with it, but I think by the letter of the law, he was blocking the plate, and it probably should have scored the run. But nonetheless, Kiermeyer gunned that guy out, Turang, from Santiago High School, where I used to coach. I didn't coach him. I was there a few years before, but that was an awesome play. As for the offensive part, number 5, Mookie Betts laced a single to left in the first inning. Freddie Freeman came up right after him and poked one to left field. That was a really nice piece of hitting. Ball down and away on a 1-2 count. Montas in the first inning has a terrible batting average against, over 400. And the Dodgers took advantage of that, which was nice to see. I appreciated that. As for number 3, Kevin Kiermeyer, a 2 RBI double in the first inning that gave the Dodgers the 3-0 lead. For number 2, Gavin Lux, a 2-out double to left in the 5th. His hot hitting continues. Now batting right around 345, dating back to a little over a month ago, July 11th. So he's got it rolling, but yet they still pinch hit for him because, that's what the analytics and the stats say. I mean, I guess it worked out. I think it was who pinch hit for him. Yeah, Miggy Rojas pinch hit for him, so he knocked in the run. So it all worked out. Shouldn't complain too much. I just kind of scratch my head at times going, the guy's red hot. You don't pinch hit for Shohei. So, and Gavin Lux's batting average is better than Shohei's over the last month. So again, it worked out. So I think I just need to stop complaining. It's just sometimes the moves are a little mind boggling. As for number one, the single from Miggy Rojas that tied the game, it was a pinch hit, 2-out RBI single right up the middle, ball a little bit high after swinging past one that was up in the zone. He made contact with one, and that tied the game at 4. And unfortunately, they would give up that run in the bottom half of that frame and fall 5-4. So we look at this and say, are there positives to take from this game? Sure, there are a few. And I'll tell you, maybe less than a few. I'll tell you at least one of those positives in a 5-4 loss after the Padres won and the Diamondbacks won. And the Dodgers are now 2.5 games ahead in the West. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen to us on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. That's where you find Jeff and Vince doing their Locked On Daily Dodgers podcast, and they'll probably be knocking that out here in just a little bit. So we appreciate you everydayers for checking me out right after the game and then checking them out as your first listen of the day. Locked On is your source for your team every day. All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers postcast is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience are the formula for winning championship. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, like superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, like essentials, like brakes and brake rotors and all those things too. I've done brakes many times, and almost every time I buy the stuff on eBay because the prices are just impossible to beat. They're like 20 to 25% of what you would pay at an auto parts store. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, you're guaranteed to get the part that is right for your ride every time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins and stay out on the road so you can get to work or to your friend's house or to the golf course or to the store or to school to pick up your kid, all of these important things, or, to meet your new girlfriend or whatever. Cars are important. So you got to keep them running. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, Dodgers fall, snapping a 5-game winning streak. And pitching wasn't great. Walker Buehler was suspect at best. And I'm feeling like most of you guys are feeling like Walker Buehler should be done. I don't know that you're wrong. I pretty much feel like that's not going to happen. They're going to give him at least another outing, if not 2 or 3, before they decide to make a move to trade him, option him. I don't know. It's a tough call because they're paying him a pretty fair share of money. But as far as bright spots, Mookie Betts returning to the lineup, still hitting 2 for 5 today with 2 runs scored, but did strike out 3 times. So with the positive comes a little bit of negative, but the fact that he's 3 games back and still getting multiple hit games, awesome. And Freddie Freeman with a 3-hit night. That was really nice to see with no Ks. Teoscar's struggling though. 0 for tonight. Again, that K looking could have been more detrimental, but thanks to Miggy Rojas coming in with the RBI single, that kind of saved Teoscar there. Gavin Lux a hit again, 1 for 2 tonight with a strikeout and a walk. So from an offensive perspective, it was pretty good. The problem is it's all early in the game. They kind of need to figure out a way to sustain the rhythm, the momentum that they're finding early in the games. And it feels like it should be a little bit easier. I know for the opponents against the Dodgers, when the starter is working well and they get to the bullpen, that's when they start to rough up the Dodgers, because or even the starter, like the second and third time through the lineup, we know that it's a lot easier for the hitters than it is for the pitchers because they have a better idea of what's coming. Doesn't always seem to work that way for the Dodgers. It feels like the opposing pitchers find a rhythm and the Dodgers can't seem to learn anything from those first few at bats. What is Victor saying here? I love Shohei, but I don't think anyone fears him. He needs to show up in big moments. It's a really good point, Victor. He definitely has. I'm not going to say he doesn't show up in big moments. He does, but I agree that I feel like they don't have a big fear. They were trying to build up this ninth inning matchup between the Brewers closer Williams, who is an absolute stud, Devin Williams, with an ERA of 1.8. And again, he set the Dodgers down in order on 7 pitches. And, the Shohei at bat in the final frame there was a no contest, and same kind of for Mookie. It was just not good. Although he did fly out, it was quick and painless and it wasn't threatening. So I feel like this kind of comes back to a lot of Shohei's at bats are not necessarily geared to the moment. Like he doesn't look at it the way a Freddie Freeman would and say, all right, I need to put the ball in play here. All right, I need to make contact here. I need to hit the ball the other way. I need to hit a fly ball and whatever. Shohei doesn't have that a lot of the times, occasionally, but it's rare. He doesn't always pay attention to the moment, right? He's like, but in this particular situation, obviously down 1 run in the 9th inning, he's trying to hit a home run. I get it. It makes sense there. And when you've got that guy on the mound, that guy's going to come right at him. He's not going to pitch around him down 1. So it makes sense. But there are times when I feel like you're right that they don't necessarily fear him. And, his clutch hitting is really inconsistent at best, but then he'll come out tomorrow night and hit one like he did last night, 420 feet in a game that's pretty much over. And we're like, oh my God, Shohei's amazing. He's amazing. Look what he does. Look how far he hits the ball, but yeah, it's a low leverage situation. I agree with you that I need to see a little bit more and want to see a little bit more from him in high leverage situations. My hope is that when it becomes higher leverage situations, like the end of the season, the playoffs, etc., that he becomes that hitter that is a little bit more feared than he is right now. I definitely would say that people fear Mookie more than they fear Shohei Ohtani at this point. It just looks like his struggles right now they're inconsistent. Like he'll come out and have a 2 or 3 hit night. But then when they need him in a game like today, he goes 0 for. So I understand that his average is still solid. He's still a good hitter, but he's definitely not a high impact guy. He's more of, it's just cool and fun when he hits these bombs. And there are times when he does, have RBIs and whatnot, but in high leverage situations, it feels like more often than not, Shohei Ohtani is a no-show. Whereas Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and even Teoscar Hernandez to a certain extent, even though, he strikes out a lot and his average is a little bit lower, Teoscar comes up in clutch moments more frequently than it feels like Shohei does. Although Teoscar's struggling a little bit right now too. Gavin Lux, obviously red hot and has been clutch for them of late. So tomorrow, an opportunity for the Dodgers to win this series again, or potentially they will split. And that would not be good, but we'll have to see how it goes. They are starting early. It is an 11 o'clock start there in Milwaukee, 11:10 to be specific, before they head off to face the Cardinals in St. Louis for the weekend. The matchup is Jack Flaherty versus Tobias Myers, again at 11:10. I will be on here on the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel right after. So be sure to join me. Appreciate you checking us out tonight and jumping in the chat. Appreciate all the comments. And the Dodgers are now 71-50 after losing here 5-4, and we'll look to get back to a winning streak tomorrow as they face the Brewers in the finale of this series. So thanks for jumping in. Thanks for your time and your eyeballs, and appreciate your everyday viewership and your loyalty to the Locked On Postcast and the Locked On Sports Network, where we are the source for your team every day. That's how it goes. So again, have a good night, and we will talk again tomorrow.